Good afternoon, traders. I want to go over some potential future trades with you guys pending BTC price action. Some of you may want to have some trades in your back pocket, either to go long or short. And since I have not been putting out consistent trade alerts because my new strategy is still being configured, tweaked, and worked on, I want to just give you a quick list, something to keep your eye on, a few maybe altcoins to keep your eyes on for future potential trading. Of course, there's all of these in my holding portfolio. By the way, Solana has stopped out on me, and that's good with this move. Let me jump to the chart here. With this move down on BTC. So what appears to be happening, let me say something quick about this, is somebody, market mover with lots of Bitcoin, seems to wait until the market moves up into these levels of resistance, and then they'll just sell and bring it all the way down to our 29K support. And I kind of had a feeling this would happen again with that 100 candle moving average pressing down on us for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. I just felt the bulls are just not strong here at all, and I felt we would collapse again. Fortunately, once again, 29K. This is now the 6th time since way back here in beginning of May. 29K has held us. All right, and I don't really want us to test that 29K anymore, guys. I've mentioned this before, but anytime you hit a support multiple times, every time you hit that support, it's like a jackhammer on cement. It just keeps cracking and weakening the support until eventually it collapses and then we fall down. This does look to be a bear flag. Now, one thing I do want to say about these flags is sometimes they can trick us. All right, so we saw this happen on Bitcoin. All right, so let me just redraw a triangle I was watching before we collapsed, and that was here. And I said this is a descending wedge. That is a bullish formation. And guess what happened? We broke to the upside of this descending wedge and made it all the way above very significant support at 39.3, as well as this ascending trend line, which we've been watching for months now. All right, and then shortly thereafter, a new candle formed, and then this is when the whole, Luna UST collapse began, and we fell all the way down here to 25,000. All right, so that was a big fake out. Faked me out, probably faked a lot of traders out who were watching this bullish wedge. All right, so what I'm saying and why I bring that to your attention, let me get rid of that real quick and zooming back into the 4-hour, is we could have the opposite occurrence take place here on this bear flag. What looks to be a bear flag, probability would suggest that we go to the downside on this. But what could happen is these market movers could take us to the downside of this triangle, fake us out, and then we turn around and go right back up. And that's why it's important when you're trading this sideways action that you keep your stops a little bit tighter than normal. Yeah, you're going to get stopped out, and yeah, you're going to incur extra trading fees as a result of more frequent trades, etc., etc. If you're not happy with that, I would suggest staying in stablecoin, USD or USDT, whatever your preference is, or whatever you have the available to you as a stablecoin, maybe USDC. But we could have that head fake to the downside. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if on the next move down, we have a candle that forms below this 29K, but then the next candle brings us right back up through this wedge and then we start to take off. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. I don't know that these bulls have that much in them to do that, but right now the whole market is based on is in, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Okay, so let's jump to my trading list, if you will. And if you're wanting to have some alts to put in your back pocket, what I did is I have my favorite coins, kind of my favorite coins that I reference a lot. I call this the purple list, and I sorted it by price change. All right, so you have gods at the top taking the biggest hit today, and at the bottom you have mirror up 115%. Crazy, but that's what alts do. That's why I like them. All right, and so this is the 4 hour. Let's just zoom out to the daily and see if there's anything here that I could have spotted on this. Not necessarily, other than this RSI showing us we were deep into oversold territory, but of course that's not uncommon this past week. But anyways, anytime you have a smaller cap altcoin deep into oversold territory, it's just a matter of time before the market movers step in and will pump that thing. So if you're patient enough, you can easily catch one of these 114% moves. That's not even, that's not even a question. You can do that if you're patient enough. On the other hand, there is risk to it too, and that's why you have to, especially in this market, keep your stops at a tighter level. And again, you will get stopped out a little bit more frequently, but I think that safety net in this bearish market is worth it. So here is where you would look for those if you're an aggressive trader and you want to go short pending Bitcoin price action below that triangle, or below 29K, I should say. And with that confirmation of the next candle, proving that we will have continuation of selling action, you would pick out some of these that have been pumped a little bit more than others, all right? And you would want to maybe short some of these, all right? That's not the purpose of this video. We're seeing a lot of altcoins pumping. Perfect example right there. Gods I talked about in the last video. I got stopped out and then it took off over 120% on me. So we are seeing a lot of altcoins pumping. And so what my subscribers have requested is just, could I go over some of these that have good setups, and if we break to the upside, that they could go into a long position with those. So I took some of these oversold alts and went through them and picked out some good, reasonable setups. I won't say good. Nothing's really good in this market, but some reasonable setups to look at, and just some things that you can kind of keep in your back pocket for a future trade. All right, so this is my next trade list. Of course, I've got BTC to reference at the top here. And so pending a break to the top side of this triangle here, this is where you would go long on some of these coins with tight stops. All right, pending a break to the bottom side, that's where you would take some of those overbought coins and look for poor setups, and you would short those if you're aggressive. I prefer to go into stable coins. That's more of a neutral stance in a bearish market, and just wait for the price to come down and then enter. That's my preference. That's just a less aggressive way of trading in a bear market, but a lot of you guys like to short, and that's fine. All right, so let's go through some of these and I'll show you what I see on the charts. First one of my favorites, Suko, because it does pump. And look at this descending wedge, guys. This is beautiful. This is on the daily chart, remember. So this is just like what I pointed out on Gods and why I entered Gods. See this? So I entered somewhere around here. All right, I think that red candle, that day I had entered. and I continued to see a drop, and I was like, well, I better get my stops in case we drop below this wedge and do the opposite of what I think. So I put my stop right here, got stopped out, and guess what Gods did? Went over here and then took off, and that's like 120% gain. All right, so stops, and this is what I've warned about and why I don't like stops, is because if you don't place them right, you run the risk of missing out on these big moves. I was able to, by trading the market in a bull climate, now I realize that's much easier to do in a bull climate, and not by not placing stops, I was able to catch all these big moves up, and that was the money kind of that I've already mentioned I invested into Luna, because I was able to catch those big moves up. I had that money to put into Luna. So for me, I don't mean to be dismissive of Luna just crashing and going to zero. It was 20% of my portfolio, but for me, it wasn't as big of a, it was big, but I know that I probably wouldn't have had that money in the first place had I used this stop technique. All right, but I am going to use the stop technique for all future going forward, because for two big reasons, and I've stated this already. I don't want you all following me into a black hole like happened with Luna. I don't want that to happen again to any of you guys. And number two, it just helps me to quicken the pace and put out those trade alerts all the time. When I get stopped out, I have to put out a trade alert. Whereas otherwise, I tend to become a hodler in a bear market. And that's just personally what I've done. And I've made it through, and I've done very well that way. But I can't do that if I'm trading publicly. I have to just change it up a little bit. So we're going for more base hits instead of home runs. All right. Anyways, let's take a look at these. I only have 8 minutes left. I like Suku because it's in this descending wedge, and just like Gods, it looks like it can break out, and you can, I mean, Gods took off and it was up 100, 110, 120% after it broke out of this wedge. Now, it's still on this list. The reason it's still on this list is because I feel like it could come back down. If it does, you would want to tag it or re-enter right down here somewhere. Probably, let me put in a level there. That looks like a good level. Sure, why not? We'll say 32.7 cents. All right, that would be a level that I would target for re-entry if it gets back down there. Now, I will say if, and then crypto surprises me because it is massively volatile, and it very well could go back down there to 32.7 cents. All right, Suku is in this descending wedge, and you would want to enter this one, obviously, first of all, pending Bitcoin break to the upside, then come into your 4-hour chart. You would want to see a candle confirming a move above this descending wedge, and you would want to see a second candle open and close, and then that would tell you we are going to continue upwards. That would be one that you might want to enter should Bitcoin break to the upside of its wedge. Ape, I've already mentioned. We've got a big bear flag here on Ape. My entry target is way down here. I always doubt these targets, guys. You've heard me say it ad nauseum, I think. We've learned a lot during these past couple months, but that's my target. I'm probably not going to touch it unless it comes down there, or if we break above this, if Bitcoin breaks up, then this will probably break to the upside too. And if we come above this 100 candle moving average here, then maybe I look to enter there, but that's not as ideal of a setup. All right, BICO looks to be forming another bull flag. You can see it right here. All right, longer. So we are under a ascending trend line. So that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe not as favorable, but if you break to the top side of this bull flag, looks to be a bull flag. If Bitcoin also breaks to the top side, you could enter here with confirmation on the 4-hour. Okay, Doji, doggy, whatever it is. Bull flag, big long bull flag. Draw this out on your chart. You can see it. I'll just put it on here real quick so you can see what we're looking at. All right, and that's very similar to Bitcoin. All of these flags are very similar to Bitcoin, and that's why we're focusing so much on Bitcoin, because whatever Bitcoin does, the rest of these alts will follow suit. All right, CHZ, always a good one. Now this one, you're on the top side of a long descending trend line. That's a good sign, as well as you're on some major support here at around 11.7 cents. That's a good area of confluence. So again, pending Bitcoin, you might want to enter this one or keep this one in your back pocket. Again, targets are not so much, I have resistance up ahead here, but targets are still going to stay on the chart, but tight stops are probably going to stop us out before we get to any targets anyways at this point. And because we are in an uncertain market, I would definitely recommend those tighter stops. Okay, KNC. All right, remember, this is one that was contrarian to Bitcoin, all while Bitcoin was descending since November. Look at what KNC was doing. Kyber Networks went all the way up here. Now, with this collapse, look how far down it came. This is actually the wick down right here at about $1. So just a few days ago, literally, it was at $6, and now it's down to $1. And now this looks to be a bull flag. Zooming in here, let me just show you. All right, doesn't that look like it's a bull flag? And we're right here on the 200-day moving average. Very good support. Again, Bitcoin breaks to the top side. This might be one really to keep in your back pocket. Maker, another bull flag here. I'm getting long on the tooth here on this video. We've got 20-minute timeline, so I got to go quickly. That's a descending wedge. That's very bullish. Again, pending Bitcoin. Another bull flag right there on ZEC. Fourth, you got another bull flag right there on fourth. Solana, descending wedge. We kind of broke to the upside of it and then hit resistance here. So Solana is still a good one, but you'd want to see us come above this resistance level at $52.82 before you made any entries. IOTX, another bull flag. GTC, descending wedge, much like we've seen on other charts, okay? But this one could come back down and hit the bottom side of that descending wedge before going up. So be careful with this one. Again, tight stops. Mana, bull flag right there, big bull flag, all right? MCO2, bull flag. ZRX, all right? We're hitting resistance, a descending purple trend line. You would want to see us break above on the 4-hour and confirm. As usual here, you'd want to see confirmation before you made entry and pair that with Bitcoin. Okay, another descending wedge here. Breaking to the top side of that. Again, watch that closely. We are already, probably have almost met the target on that one. So you would want to wait for it to come back down before entering. And Loom, again, another bull flag, have broken out to the top side. Again, you'd want to wait for us to come back down before entering. And this is all, of course, pending Bitcoin price action. All right, so I'll publish this list on my website for you all. Let's do the outro here because we're getting up to the 20-minute mark. Okay, so again, alts with good setups can be traded long, pending BTC price action with that triangle. Alts with the poor setups should be reserved for shorting, provided our 29K BTC support fails. Always keep those stops in. Peace, y'all. We'll talk to you in the next video.